And good evening, good Monday evening. Every time we're together, I'm always thinking the collab. But it's Monday, and we are locked here, tight here on Indigo Inspired Live Movers and Shakers, the Influencers Edition here on Facebook as well as on YouTube. And right now, who is co-hosting with me tonight, as we have an incredible influencer, Shawn Governor Gibbs is in the building. The one and only Shawn Williams from Gospel Music Buzz. And I'm going to put
with an extra Z.
With an extra Z. Don't let them forget it. It's an extra Z.
Don't forget that Z. IG might have one Z for now, but don't forget that extra Z. I love it. Listen, how are you? How are you doing this Monday? I was gonna almost say Thursday as well. How are you doing this Monday?
I'm great. We just checking out. We had already talked about Billboard. What's been going on. So we don't have any updates so far. But
there's some new songs out. There's some new music that was released from Friday though. So I know there's the Teddy and Tina Campbell released the video as well as the song "Marry Me." And then there's a few others, like we were talking at the top of the hour, an independent artist, Dallas Ford. He released his EP and he had a release concert out in Valley Stream, and that was Unconditional EP. Then there's also a few others there. I know Bizzle released Soul Therapy, and he also released the what was that? That was a collab between him and Music Soul Child. Leave This Place.
I love Bizzle.
That was good too. Then Jeremiah Hicks released God Will Provide. And then, of course, Stephanie Summers featuring JJ Harris, Mighty Strong God. So those are a few of them. So we had a lot. We had a packed release that happened basically this last week.
Yeah, I mean, people are coming out swinging now. This is like that last quarter. I'm going to try to get this project out here so people can grab it, and know exactly what we're doing here. We've been working on this in the pandemic, and we want to make sure it comes out well. So,
and before Christmas too, right? Because no one is really releasing anything else come November. December is all about holiday music, right? So it's either October or straight to January.
Yeah, absolutely. So as we are getting ready to get right into the show, we want to make sure you take the opportunity. First of all, hey, share the link. If you're on Facebook, you can share it on the Indigo Inspire Live Facebook page. And if you're on YouTube, don't forget, copy that link and you can paste it on your pages and share this live. And right now, we are not even going to waste any time because we got a great conversation with the influencer, the one and only, Shawn Governor Gibbs.
Woo!
Bruh.
We got to get the applause. Where's the applause? We need the applause button. Where's the applause button, Patrice?
I need horns. I need something.
Salute.
Yo.
Oh, my goodness.
Soren.
What's good, brother? What's good?
I love you.
Likewise, brother.
I'm excited to be here with you guys. I hit Patrice up last week. I said, I'm nervous.
And I told him, you'll be just fine. You will be just fine. But spoken like somebody who's
that motherly love. Motherly love. I love it.
Okay. Spoke like somebody who's a mover and shaker behind the scenes, but don't like to be up front. Mm-hmm. So, which is definitely who you are. And the influencer, that nickname governor is not something that is just to be taken lightly.
Mm-hmm.
You definitely have been doing this thing in the gospel music industry for so long, and um, the excellence in which you do this is known across the nation. And you have worked with, I mean, looking at your bio, you have worked with some of the most incredible people. And just talking about the caveat about how you even got into this, not necessarily particularly thinking that this is going to be what you get into, but that you were going to be in the fashion industry because you just, you love the look and you love, hey, Bed-Stuy. I have family in Brooklyn, so I know exactly what's going on over there. And just the diversity of that, growing up in that area with the brownstones and just the culture. And it's just so much that has shaped you, on top of the fact that your connection and your mentor is the one and only Bishop Hezekiah Walker.
Yes.
I mean, who, what? That's all I got. Who, what? So let's talk about this this journey of yours and being one of the. I mean, if anybody is going to have a listening event, this is the man. And I knew of one event that I'm not going to say who the artist is because it's not for me to say, but somebody else was going to do the listening event. This particular artist, who's an A-list artist, said, absolutely not. I need the governor. And called him, I believe called you personally.
Yes.
And said, oh no, I need you to do this. And you absolutely executed it. And I mean, I don't think the rest is history.
Yes.
So to be honest with you, we're here to just learn. We really are here just to learn about who you are, what makes you really have such a gift for making moves that increases the exposure of artists, as well as keeping them relevant. On top of the fact that you are definitely on the top board as far as Root Magazine, the premier gospel music magazine in the country, if not the world at this point, as far as digital.
Shout out to my business partner, Hassan James from Root Magazine. Shout out to Root Magazine. We love Hassan. He's really he has just become a staple in the gospel music industry. You know what I'm saying? All things Root, man. So Root certified. So
yes,
that's my little brother. And I love him from my heart.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk about how this journey actually really began for you.
Okay, wow. How far you want to go back?
I mean, we want to go back to when after the stint with being in the fashion industry wasn't necessarily where you were going to stay, where you're going to go, but now you're moving into your interest in the entertainment industry.
Yeah. Okay. So, taking it back, like I said, went to college and went to Fashion Institute of Technology in New York City. And I wanted to not be a designer, but I actually wanted to be a buyer, a fashion buyer. Go to Europe and buy all the clothes for the big department stores. And that was before the word stylist was even imagined or thought of or even known of. And you're roughly talking about like 1990. So I graduated high school in 88. And 1990 I went to FIT. And I got me a part-time job in the buying office for a fashion, for a big fashion house on 7th Avenue. And back then, 7th Avenue, it was primarily, the fashion industry was ran by, the Jewish community, the Jewish community. But, you can, get a job and work up in there. So, and I did. I was working in the mailroom, and I kind of like worked my way up and started working for one of the buyers just as a clerical person, do all the clerical paperwork. But I knew I wanted to be a buyer, and and I was going to school to be a buyer, and I remember I talked to one of the big boss. Well, she was the general manager at the time, and she had really taken a liking to me. And I told her I wanted to be a buyer. There was an assistant position that was coming up, and can I apply for it? And she was trying to plug and play me, and she called me like that Friday. I'll never forget. And she called me Kid. She said, "Kid, come in my office." And I came in my office, and she said, I know you wanted that job, to be an assistant for one of the ladies in the buying office. She said, but they're not going to give it to you. And the big boy's name was Renshaw, Mr. Renshaw. And she said, Renshaw's not going to give it to you. I probably was like 20. So at the time, I was like, why wouldn't he give it to me? I want to do it. She said, because you're black. And he said, a black person would never make it in the fashion industry. So, and that crushed me, broke me.
Wow.
And I was like, huh? Like, I just couldn't believe it. So it broke me. And I left, I quit. And, just was like punting it around and stuff like that. And then, I don't know how, but I back then used to be like, magazines. And to this day, I'm a big magazine person. I love entertainment magazines. So it used to be a magazine called Sister to Sister magazine by Debbie Foster Brown. And I was reading it, and there was a PR agency, a black-owned PR agency that had an advertisement. And back then, you could just do cold calls. And I remember I like found the number in the yellow pages, double exposure. And I was like, I'm going to find this thing. I found them, called, and said, hey, I'm in college, but I would like to intern, at double exposure. And they called me in, and like, a week later, they said, okay, you can start working as an intern for double exposure PR, which was owned by premier black-owned PR agency of the gentleman named is Angelo Ellaby, who I love to this day. He's like a father figure to me. And he took me under his wing, and instantly my eyes lit up. You know what I'm saying? I was like, oh, maybe I don't like fashion, but maybe I like entertainment. And come to find out, that's where my love for entertainment came into play. Immediately in that environment, working for double exposure as an intern. And then what he did and what he taught me was, he said, I'm going to take you on, with me to photo shoots for some of the artists that he had. And at that time, it was the 90s. So he had there was a group called Jade. Don't Walk Away From Me. He had Jade, and he had one of the Marley sons, one of Bob Marley's sons as a client. And he had Mickey Howard, R&B songstress Mickey Howard. And he would take me with him to their photo shoots. And I just learned. He said, to be in this bitch, you got to learn how to do everything. So he said, you have to learn how to lay out the clothes. You got to learn how to do hair. You have to learn how to do makeup. Well, I never learned how to do hair, and I never learned how to do makeup, but I learned how to lay out the clothes, and all of that intertwined was oh, this is a part of fashion. You know what I'm saying? At that time, then there was two brand new fashion, urban fashion houses that was coming to play, and that was Carl Kanai, and that was Cross Colors, and Carl Kanai. And we had to call them and get clothes from their showroom to put on the artists for photo shoots. And at that time, they wanted to throw the clothes because they just wanted to have exposure. So then that's how I learned that, what blacks can be in the fashion industry, because these gentlemen had now started, fashion houses that was geared towards the fashion industry. And then right after that came FUBU. And all these were the premier fashion houses for urban clothing and urban wear in the early 90s. And it just grew. And like I said, from there, I went from working there. I went to, I think after that, I started to work for Twism. Shaquille O'Neal, he had a clothing line called Twism. And I worked for Twism. And the bosses who I worked there for at Twism was running, they were leaving and transitioning and not knowing what they was transitioning to, but privately they were taking these meetings, and it was over at Bad Boy Records, and that's where Shawn John was. That's where Puffy was developing the Shawn John line. Yeah. And when my bosses them left over there, they brought me over with them to Bad Boy to help them with the Shawn John line. So then that's how I got my foot now into a record label. And now I'm literally in the core of everything that's going on. You're talking like maybe like this was like 1997, 98. And I'm literally like in the crux of everything from, the Locks to Faith Evans to Little Kim to Biggie. It was just, I was just like in the whole gumbo of the whole lifestyle and world of the entertainment industry, and that really just kind of started my path. At that time, I was still singing in the choir with Bishop Hez. Mm-hmm. At that time, he was just Hezekiah. And just started like seeing like, how can you intertwine both worlds? How can I be in the R&B secular industry and can I still be a part of gospel? And at that time, Puffy started to take a liking and building and forging a relationship with Bishop Hez. Mm-hmm. So as I was working there, he was also including Bishop Hez in a lot of his secular shows and different things he was doing. And they started to understand gospel. So as I was working there, they started to know that, he knows gospel, he knows people, he knows choirs. Mm-hmm. And I just started to utilize those talents and build a connection and build relationship. One of the greatest lessons I will always tell anybody, and I don't know, maybe in my bio, is that I learned when I worked at Bad Boy and worked with Shawn John, worked with Puffy, which was, he said, your name is all you got in this industry, so don't mess it up. Your name is all you got. And that has literally been a motto of mine now over 20 years of keeping my name clean and keeping my name fresh and not, building or not burning bridges and messing up your name, your name, because when you work so hard for it, but it's so easy that you can lose your name and your reputation in this industry, and especially in gospel because it's so much smaller, it can really get ruined fast, and sometimes it can take years to recover and to bounce back.
Go ahead, Shawn.
Yeah, I mean, I cannot see why they still call you the governor, man, because this man has been building bridges and forging relationships for quite some time. And I think, even when you start off by telling that story in the beginning, and I was like, man, but then, sometimes when those doors are closed, it's because, God still knows what direction he sees you going in and which direction you're going to be more happier heading towards. So in some sense, it's like, whoever the guy was, he basically did you a favor.
Yeah. I didn't realize that until maybe like 20 years later, I realized that he did me a favor and that was the course. So that was supposed to happen the way it happened. And I was no longer mad because I was very mad at that gentleman for many, many years. I felt like maybe a little sense of bitterness or hurt, in my heart. But, I learned that, that had to happen, especially when you're young. So that's why I tell a lot of the younger generation that's coming behind me, don't get in your feelings and don't have a level of entitlement when you work in business, because you have to grow. And I'd rather you get it slow than get it fast. Because when you get it fast, you lose it fast because it shoots to your head. And you think that you're the ish, and and sometimes you can lose it. And like I said, sometimes it takes a long time to recover. So it's so strange. I had a conversation with a client of mine, a very well-known client that you all guys all know. And she said, I have to appreciate you working with me and my husband, that there's nothing, I've never heard anything negative about you in this industry. And that really, makes me proud to work with you and for you to work with us and to work with our team and to represent us, because your name is really like, I've asked people and everyone always say the same thing, like, yo, he's a good dude. He's a good dude. And I was like, wow. And I've been working with this client for 5 years. And, this is the first time that conversation ever came up.
Wow.
That's solid, and that's always good. And I think that's good advice for anyone across the board.
Yes.
But also to you, you kind of mentioned when you were talking about the different jobs that you've held and the different relationships that you've been in, but you also express that while you were staying true to who you are each step of the way, you were also stretching yourself to learn in every area. Every person you came into contact, as you mentioned, when you were here, you were learning this, you were learning that.
Yes.
So what do you have to say now to that person that's coming up, that is just like, hey, I know this side of the business, but I might not know this side of the business. Like, how important is it to learn it, even if you have someone doing it for you? But how important it is for you to be able to still learn what that person is doing?
I tell the younger generation to always ask questions. Never be ashamed to ask and say, I want to learn this. I want to glean. Can I glean from you? And when you glean from a pure perspective, and not from a perspective of, again, like I said before, entitlement. Because sometimes you can glean with entitlement that I'm learning from you, and I'm going to take everything I know, and I'm going to take your contacts, and then I'm going to build my own kingdom. And that's not how that works, and that's not how you should proceed. If you learn and if you're afforded the opportunity to be around great people and around greatness, you never mess that up, man. You always sit in the seat of learning. To this day, I'm still traveling at any given moment, even having my own company and having clients and doing what I do in gospel. If Bishop Walker asks me to travel with him, I'll travel with him in a heartbeat, and I can still be a servant. I can still stand to the back and, again, know my place and know my position, with him, and can be around the who's of it. And if I'm with him, I'm with him. So I'm not Shawn Governor Gibbs trying to parlay a contract or parlay a client, but I'm with him, and it's for a moment. And if it's for me, it will always circle back around. So I always carry myself with a level of respect and honor that if I'm able to be around clients, especially well-known clients and premier clients, that it's never about me, but it's about them. And that that you lead with integrity, and you lead with character. So
Can I say something real quick though, Patrice?
Sure.
Publicly, I have to give Shawn his due respect right now. I'll say that on two fronts. One, exactly what he just said about learning, about teaching, but also about trusting and making situation happen for someone. We've been going to Shawn's listening session for quite a while. Even when my wife had her first large concert in Brooklyn, Shawn came through. He supported that that concert. He
I remember that night.
Yeah, he bought his tickets. He did everything. He showed up. He supported, and we still kept building on that relationship. And when I branched out and I started Gospel Music Buzz 5+ years ago, as he started to learn more and more about what we were doing, Shawn was actually the one that put me on to some of the earlier publicists. And my very first interview I had with William McDowell that Yannette spoke about the other day, it was due to a relationship with him. So our very, very first large interview, he put me in touch with a publicist to say, hey, reach out to so-and-so. And, and he's done that. And even my first hosting gig, which happened in Manhattan like a few months back, was also because of this dude. First major.
You were amazing, dude. You was amazing that night.
I was sweating. I was so nervous.
He really did his homework, and I mean, it was for Timothy Wright's son, David Wright.
Yeah.
I mean, he literally did his homework about the history of Pastor Timothy Wright. May he rest in peace, and just his musical journey and how that influenced his children, all four of his sons, who are all like big names in the gospel and in the R&B industry. You know what I'm saying? One of his sons is the musical director for Adele. Another son is the musical director for Jill Scott. And he Serwin just tied in all of that together, and that was impressive. I sat back, I was like, I felt like a big brother. I felt like a
But I'm
big
saying,
brother.
but that's what you do. Like you make stuff happen. A lot of times people don't know, but it's like what he says, man. He's one of those individuals that is out there just making it happen. So I'm just saying publicly, thank you, because you're the one when we started. You helped push this forward. You helped put us in different places, and he's that dude. Basically, is what I'm saying. He's that dude.
Wow, I appreciate that, my dude. I appreciate that. Love you. And your
Yes.
beautiful wife.
Oh my goodness, you can hashtag that. He is that dude. Um, so I want to talk to you about the starting of the firm Artist Management, because that's not an easy thing to do. And putting artists, having being responsible for the careers and the trajectory of an artist's career. Talk about why you wanted to start that, and what have you learned, in the process of having the firm.
Wow. So starting the firm Artist Management, that's very passionate to my heart. And it all happened at a really pivotal moment in my life. And if I could take you back, it all started around 2009, and we had the big. Well, like I said, let's go back a couple years before that or so. So after working for Puffy, I left and went to work at Sony. And I was at Sony and worked at, two of the labels there at Sony. I worked at Epic and I worked at Columbia, and had that experience of, wow. I remember these 4 little girls coming into the office while I was at Columbia, and like not knowing that they were going to blow up and be Destiny's Child.
Mm-hmm.
So I've seen all those experiences. Then the neo soul era. I was there at the, with Macy Gray and, just so many Music Soul Child and all that experience. So then I left there and then I went to work for HBO. So I was at HBO for maybe like 6 years. And that was just like the fun heyday of my life. Got to work on all those premiere shows, like, Sex and the City, The Sopranos, 6 Feet Under, Curb Your Enthusiasm. So I was like living the high life.
Love Curb.
Hanging out, like it was just like the early 2000s. Like I was the man. I was chilling. I was bringing all my friends to the parties and everything like that. So, long story short, 2009 came. It was the big recession, and lost my job. HBO got consumed by Time Warner / Jobs, got laid off, and I remember my HR person said, "You should take this time to go back to school and get your degree." And I was like, "What do you mean? Like, no, I want to work here for HBO. Like, I want to go to the party. I want to go to the events. I got the perks and everything like that." It's just like, and she said, "No." And I thought about it. And at that time, Hassan was thinking, and he had showed me a prototype of him wanting to start a magazine. And he was like, "Shawn, I want to start this. But I don't know how to do it, and I don't know how to make the connections, and I don't know how to do any of this stuff." He said, "But I know I want to do a magazine." And it was so crazy. That year, me and Hassan and another friend of ours, Rudy, we went to Nashville for Stella Awards. We really didn't have the connections, but one of my homeboy, I'll never forget, James Robinson, he was over at Light Records at the time, and he like, y'all hang out with me. I get y'all tickets to the show and everything like that. And then they had an after party, and I would never forget RC. Well, at the time it was Verity Records. They had an after party, and the after party was to debut Donald Lawrence's album Laws of Confession.
Okay.
And when I heard that album, I'll never forget, it was January 2009, and I heard that album Laws of Confession, and there was that song Speak the Word, Speak the Word. And you just speak the word. And I literally stood in that party and I cried. I was like, "Shawn, you have to start your own management company. You can't, depend on anybody to give you a shot. You're going to have to just leap out on it and do it." And that's how the firm Artist Management was birthed. And Hassan was my first client. He said, "I can't do this without you, so you have to be my manager." And I said, "Well, we're learning this together." And I already had connections and great relationships with a lot of the labels. So, but I just didn't exercise it. And that in 2009 pushed me to exercise having relationships, and then now bringing Hassan in. And after I took on Hassan, then they did, I think, the first season. The next year they did like the first season of Sunday's Best, or the second season. And then I happened to snag Zebulon Ellis and John McClure from Sunday's Best. So I had those three guys that I was managing in those 2010, 11, 12. And that really helped catapult the firm Artist Management, into what it is today. And I just started to know that I needed to add other little entities to it. And I was like, how do I add another entity to it? I didn't want to take away from being their manager, but I also wanted to spread my wings and do other creative things. And I'll never forget, I got a call from a text message from Anita Wilson, and she was doing her album, and she was like, I want to come to New York, and I want to do a listening thing, but I don't really know how to do it. I don't know any of the people in New York. And I was like, oh, well, I know people in New York. And she would say, well, you know what? Wardell Malloy from BMI, because that's who I'm with, he's going to call you. He's going to help me, but, he's going to call you. And Wardell called me like a week later. And he was like, Shawn, I don't know anybody. I know everybody on the secular side in New York, but I don't really know everybody and all the key people in the power players and the tastemakers and the influencers of gospel in the New York area. So I'm gonna need you to come on board and help me with this. And I said, okay, cool. And I just literally went in my phone and said, hey, I need you to come to this thing. I'm doing something for Anita Wilson. I need you to come. I need you to come. I need you to come. And that was like 2014. And everyone came. And it was such a major event. Anita Wilson was like blown away. But I made an indelible impression on BMI. And when I tell you I did that first one for free, because I just wanted to help out Anita because she was my girl. And it went so crazy and went so phenomenal that Wardell, like maybe a month later, at that time, Verity or RCA at the time, they had just changed to RCA. RCA called them and said, we want to do something for Tasha Page Lockhart, but can we bring her to BMI? We heard your event for Anita Wilson was successful and it was like really nice. And he said, oh yeah, you can, but you can only do it if you hire Shawn Gibbs, because he's the one that's going to make it happen. I'm just the face of BMI, but he's the one that's going to make it happen. It was like, no, but he's like, no, what, if you don't hire him, then you can't do the event here. And they wanted to do the event for Tasha and for Kirk there. So they brought me on, and he called me and I figured, he said, oh, and they're going to pay you. I was like, what?
Come on.
I was like, and then probably was like $200. But I was so excited, just the fact that it was like I got paid. And it just, from Anita Wilson, it blew up to every artist, then going to Stellars and artists seeing me in Stellars and at the award show or backstage. It's like, oh, yo, we heard about you. We heard what you did with such and such. We heard what you did to Dorinda. We heard what you did with this person, that person, James Fortune, and we want you to do ours. And we're calling you next week. And it just started to blow up. And hence, that's why you and Serwin was at a lot of these events, you know what I'm saying? Because it just really just blew up to something of a magnitude. So that added another entity and another layer to the firm Artist Management. And I just started to do a little bit more project logistics as along with doing management. I started to do project logistics and event logistics, and so a part of the firm Artist Management. And it was very lucrative for me. Very, very lucrative. Very, very lucrative. And I was blessed.
Go ahead. And these are events that are not just for AB artists. We're talking, like you said, Anita Wilson, who's coming up, she's been in the ranks for a long time, and for you to be able to knock it out of the park for her, and to see what you could do, and like I said, you weren't even asking for any money; you were just doing it for love. But the fact that you didn't skimp on the quality of what you were bringing to the table for her, that is what people will see and understand that, wow, okay, he didn't get anything for this, but he gave it as if he got paid six figures for this.
Yes.
And a lot of times, I think people are always looking for, and I'm not saying getting paid for what you do is not something you should get, should happen. Absolutely. But sometimes doing it for the sake of the experience, proving that you can do this and that you are, and you have the capabilities of making certain things happen, cannot be taken lightly, and particularly those who are trying to come up and become quote unquote influencers. And I'm going to use this term influencer, and I know we talk about influencers, but I don't use that lightly, because the influencers are people who have already paved the way.
Yes.
You
Yes.
put in the hard work. We're talking about you're talking about the 80s, 90s, early 2000s. This is not something that just happened overnight where you now become quote unquote the governor, but you put in hard work, sweat equity into what you were doing, kept a clean name in the process, to the point where you're now doing things in the city of of New York. You're holding outdoor concert experiences with Mary and all kinds of things that are going on. And they don't even hiccup about, hey, I'm going to call Shawn and make sure he can get this thing happen. Blah blah blah. Here's the money. Just take care of it. And we're going to be there. That comes with time. And my question to you is, how do you help people, the newbies, to pump the brakes to try to get something quickly?
Okay, so I'm gonna answer that, but to go back, so when I started to do the music industry listening sessions and working with the A-list artists and working with the A-list labels, I also had to learn that, you know what, I had to be a man of integrity. So the same love and fervor and the same hard way I would go hard for the Kirk Franklin listening parties or the Jane Fortunes or the Jonathan Nelson's listening party. I will go the same way when an indie label called me and said, hey, we have a new project. I never forget Ty Scott called me and said, Kalante Gavin, we have them, and, could you do something for us with them? Like, we want to bring them to New York. And no one really never heard of him, and he was a virtual unknown, but he was a young kid. And I said, you know what, I'm going to show him love and do it. And I made sure I gave him a great listening event and brought people in. And to this day, that young man sees me and calls me Uncle Shawn. He's like, Shawn, what's up, man? What's up? Because you know what? It's how you treat a person when they're not low, but, when they're just in an infancy stage, and you show them love and you treat them with care. Now that he's blown up, I just saw last week he sang on the Dove Awards, and I'm just like looking like, wow, I remember. I literally got the pictures in my phone when he was a young kid, and like, wow, he grew up, and he still acknowledged what I did for him as just like a little newbie, an infant kid coming into the music industry. So yes, I had to go back in there, but to answer your question, in terms of pumping the brakes or just, again, sometimes you just have to have those hard questions. I mean, those hard talks, especially with, up and coming artists, or sometimes artists and sometimes new managers that's coming into this business to work with artists. Because remember, you're the face of that artist, and you're the first line of defense for that artist. So if you act nasty, cruddy, if you don't lead with integrity, if you're out there, the night before at the hookah lounge and you posting it on your Snapchat or your thing, and then you taking that artist the next day to Bishop Jake's church, I tell people like, yo, like, honestly, social media is like the new encyclopedia. Everybody goes to check you out before. Don't think that, a Bishop Jakes or whomever and his team don't vet you before you come into their platform, or before they put you on their platform to be in front of their flock. So you need to always, definitely be smart in how you live and how you act, and whatever you do, keep it very, very private. You know what I'm saying? I can't tell you what to do, or sometimes, especially with the younger generation, they're gonna do what they're gonna do, but you can at least be smart about it, you know what I'm saying? And you don't bring people into your world. A lot of them just have this, nonchalant cavalier attitude, like I'm gonna be me, I'm gonna live in my truth. But it's not living in your truth if you're going to now alter or put the halt sign on your client, and now they can't get through doors because you're holding them up because of the behavior that you're displaying or distributing. So sometimes you have to have those hard conversations, especially with up and coming new like managers and things of that nature that want to break into this business. And again, they see the lights and they see the glitz and the glam, and they don't know what goes on behind the scenes and things of that nature. And especially when you've been privileged, I've been privileged to work in this industry. And, sometimes you see the good, the bad, and the ugly in this industry. Sometimes you can see the good, the bad, and the ugly with an artist. And that's not for you to sit back and to expose or to think, but you pray for them and you keep that and you take it to your grave. And you don't expose because, again, they can pull it together. But, sometimes people like to assassinate people's character, people's, we now live in this cancel culture. So, again, people do so much just to try to cancel somebody. I don't subscribe to that, especially with this newer generation. That's not the generation that I came from. There's things that, I've seen and heard and, may even know of from people from 20 years ago. And to this day, I've never discussed it or, mentioned it because that was then. And now those people and those artists' lives have kind of transformed. So I'm not going to treat them where I met them 20 years ago. I treat them in their transformation. You know what I'm saying? Because, we have to lead with grace and we have to lead with love.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Go ahead, Shawn.
No, I was going to say, but that's loyalty though, right? Because when
they're not loyal in this industry, this generation. I'm not bashing it or bashing the youngins, but it is about loyalty.
Yeah, and that's what is and then also too is about it's about looking down the road, right? Because like you said, it's like you're constantly thinking about that long game, right? Because even for like let's just look at a simple example between yourself and me, right? Like I've been in and around you, we've been doing going to different things and seeing all that for so many years, and unbeknownst to me, you could have also have been looking and vetting, and if I had been out there doing madness, when an opportunity presents itself like it did, you've went and you've spoken on my behalf and many other stuff. So I think for me, I look at that, and that's why now if I ever get the call like, hey, do XYZ, it's never a matter of if I will, right? Because I know I will just get it done, regardless of the facts. So I think kind of seeing what you mentioned too, even with serving, that I think another thing too that you touched on that was good for me is that when you're put in a position to serve, it's not to serve with an agenda, right?
Yes.
But you said when you were there serving Bishop Hez and you were there with him and you were in some of these places, you're not going there to get a new client. You're not going there like your assignment. And you were there to handle business and do that too. So I think also understanding.
It's like that new song, know the assignment.
Yeah, exactly.
Know the assignment.
Know where you are and get what you need to get done. But kind of, there's going to be time, and whatever is for you will always be for you. But when you're there, serving and you're there operating, you just, you're following through with your assignment. So I think those are at least some good nuggets that I've even taken away. Outside of everything, I mean, you've had an extensive and still continue to have an extensive career with everything else that you're doing. So, rightfully so, the governor.
And like, sir, me and you, we've been in Vegas, and we can easily go left. But like, like you said, it's accountability. We see each other in the hotel, we be like, yo, up to our room, chilling, going to bed, until tomorrow morning to the next event. You know what I'm saying? So we not at the casino, like ching, ching, ching. Not touching nobody, we not at the club, hookering up. We just like, we go there. And I think God can trust us in any environment that he placed us in, because we've proven, like you said, that, we're going to lead. We're not going to have a different agenda, and we're not going to have an alternate agenda. But we go, like I said, I've so admire you, Shawn. You've been out there. You went out there. It's work. I tell people when I'm at Stella's, I'm not on vacation, or celebration of the gospel, any of these things. I'm working, so it's not for me to go out there to party or to do that type of stuff.
Yeah.
It's for me to go out there and to do the assignment and to follow the agenda and to do what I need to do on behalf of my client, and then go back to the hotel room, sleep, pack, and catch a 6 a.m. flight back to, where we got to get back to. Sometimes it's on a Saturday, so we got to come back for church on Sunday morning and everything like that. So yeah, man. And I think that's where God can trust you. And, God has proven that he can trust me in this industry. And because of that, he's been faithful to me, not only just to me, but, even to my family, you know what I'm saying? Lost my mom a year and a half ago to COVID. And, God, I felt like all the good things that I put forth and how I put so many people before me because of ministry, in that moment, in that darkest moment of my life when I felt like I was spiraling and I was sinking and didn't know how I was going to see ahead of myself, I think God sustained me because of my faithfulness, and the loyalty of my friends helped push me, helped kept me alive because I was loyal to them. They in turn made sure that they were a lifeline for me. And 2020 was a dark moment in my life. And, because of friends and loyalty and even my industry colleagues and friends, they really loved on me. You know what I'm saying? They knew how much I loved my mom, and they loved on me, Patrice. Me and you sat in a restaurant one time.
Yes, we did.
And we literally was eating sushi and crying. And and Patrice, I'll never, ever, ever forget that, and I had just met you for the first time, several years ago. And, you just had that spiritual warmth. And I was able just to be transparent with you, and you loved on me in that moment. And I never forgot that. And that's why I was always loyal to you, you know what I'm saying? Just as a friend, as a sister friend, you know what I'm saying? So I will never forget that moment in that restaurant. I will never forget you. So I just want to let you know I love you for that, girl.
It's all love. So, I mean, no thanks necessary. That's what we do. And, as we talk about the thing about loyalty, and we once again have to bring Bishop Walker in here because he also sees how you are loyal to him. He doesn't have a worry about, hey, if I take Shawn with me, let me be careful because he's has. I mean, the doors that have been opened for him through the outreach in his community, through now the college or the school of gospel. Yes. So all of those things, and along the way, and you are right there, right by his side, to uphold him in this thing, in his calling, to keep gospel music relevant, to make sure that we never forget the founders of gospel music. And I'm going to bring this into the equation too. The movie that Hassan did about the history of gospel music. All of those things.
Rooted and grounded.
Yes. And the work that you put in with your team, with those that you stand behind, you stand beside, is always an excellence. And so I think to be able to say you have high regard for them, but I know just from what I can see, the feeling is so mutual. It literally is so mutual. I mean, you're his daughter's godfather. Both Hassan's Kennedy.
Yes, Kennedy and Kaisha.
And Kaisha, yes. So it goes beyond just industry. It goes to family.
Yes.
And nurturing the importance of family. And I want to touch on that too, is how important is it to really nurture the family component within the industry?
It's very, very important to, and like I said, my loyalty to Bishop Walker has Hezekiah Walker is unmatched. I'll tell you a real quick story. Bishop came into my life in 1987. I was in the 10th grade, going into the 11th grade, and I was a messed up teenager and a wayward teenager.
Mhm.
And I was just like, and I was rebelling against my parents. I was a church kid all my life. So, I'm in high school and I want to go to parties and I want to, go in the park after school and smoke weed with my classmates and, do all those type of things that, typical, high school students do. My parents would not let that go down. And they just was not playing that. Like, no, that's not happening. And so my only way of freedom was my older brother was friends with Bishop Hez at the time, well, Hezekiah at that time. And he said, because my little brother sing in the choir and my parents, vetted him. They knew Bishop because we all went to the same church. But they literally, I always tell Bishop this. I was like, I felt like I was Moses. And my mother put me in a basket and sent me up the Nile River. And she let a whole nother person raise me.
Wow.
And in all honesty, I'm saying, I'm not going to lie. I'm saying Bishop has raised me in this, he raised me. He was in my life from the time I was in the 11th grade up into present day. So, do the math. I'll be 53 in a few months. So for someone to be in your life from the time you were like 17 up into 53, that's a whole human being. You know what I'm saying? And my loyalty is still unmatched. And my loyalty became even more greater and deeper for him as family. Like I said, when my mom died, and she died in the beginning of a pandemic, and that everything was shut down, and we couldn't have everybody would not allow us to have a funeral. And I remember he picked up the phone and called this particular funeral and said, "This is the mother of my church, and we're bringing her." And I called him and he said, "Shawn, we're bringing mother home. I'm gonna bring her to us funeral home or do her funeral at a grave site. No, we're gonna bring her. We're gonna figure this out." And he figured this out, and that was family, and I don't want to get emotional, but I will never forget that. You know what I'm saying? I would never, ever, ever, ever forget that. And that made my loyalty even more greater. That, as family, he stood up and he made sure that my mother was treated with the dignity and the respect that she deserved as an elder statesman, as a mother of the church. So, my loyalty is there. And I'm like those 4 men that was on the Titanic, and they had the violin. Shit was sinking, and they were still playing things. That's to me, that's my favorite scene of that movie, because that is the utmost sign and outward expression of loyalty. You know what I'm saying? And dedication. So I'm loyal and dedicated to all things Hezekiah Walker and Love Fellowship. In the Love Fellowship brand, you know what I'm saying? Good, bad, or indifferent, you know what I'm saying? And, I'm not going to sit in before you and act like we ain't never had no falling out. There's times he was mad at me, and there was times I was mad at him. But what sustained us and what moved us past being mad was love, family. You know what I'm saying? He's been the ultimate big brother / dad. And he always tells me now, Mother Gibbs is gone, so she left me in charge of you. Oh my God. But I love, like I said, that's love, and again, we need to see more of that, especially after going through this dark period that we went through of COVID and just losing so many family members and just life shifting. You know what I'm saying? They were saying all 2020 pivoting, and we did have to pivot, and even my business kind of shut down because there was nothing going on, and record labels weren't doing anything, and then they learned to do things in the virtual format. So, and I had to rely on God to know God did you, but I felt like God did that for a reason, to slow me down, because I needed to reflect and understand. I had just turned 50, and I just needed to understand, what was going on in my life and figure out the next chapter in my life. And kind of, figure that out. I feel like, I'll be the first to let you guys know that I'm definitely working on a book. And that's a part of my next chapter. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because, listening sessions, I'll still do them in a heartbeat. You know what I'm saying? But there's other things to grow into. There's other levels to go to and to strive towards and to put as benchmarkers. So that's where I'm at now in my life.
Awesome. Go ahead, Shawn.
I was gonna say we can't have a discussion with the governor and not touch on style, right? Because first off,
sir,
you got that you this guy, man. When I'm seeing he's even posting and talking about, he like this about Steve Harvey and that. I'm like, Steve Harvey's dope, but it's like he's like our Steve Harvey. Like, we know him directly. And what's this dude comes
like
out?
My vintage Ebony magazine sweatshirt.
Okay.
This is a vintage Ebony magazine cover from like the 60s. Black Jesus.
See, I'm telling you, man, when this dude is out and it's always on point, like always on point. Talk about the importance of, of fashion to you, style to you throughout the years, even now more so. Like, just touch on that, because that's a staple. When people see you, they're always getting tips. So like, talk to us about that.
I'll be honest, like, what I'm saying, what I'm doing now is what I did in high school. You know what I'm saying? I went to a private high school, and for years it was a uniform school. By the time going into my second year, my sophomore year, they switched from a uniform school to you can wear regular clothes. So again, I'm a kid of the late 80s. And that was like, a turning point for us. So, the flat top, the kid didn't play flat top.
All different colors, all different color sweaters.
Well, my time, late 80s, it was Benetton.
Yep.
So it was Benetton, wearing the Benetton shirts and everything like that. And so sheepskin from Delancey Street. And that was just my era. So, that style mechanism, I think that's when I first discovered back in the day, West 4th Street in the Village. And it was just a whole block, 3 blocks row of shoes. That's why I first fell in love with shoes, going to West 4th Street. And so I was doing it ever since the 80s, and just part of just who I am. It's just a part of my style. I will say, and I keep talking about my mom, but she was like the original stylist. She had 3 boys and a husband, so she had to like dress. She dressed all of us, and my dad, didn't go and buy his clothes. My mom went for all of our clothes. And I appreciated about her, she gave us, each one of my brothers, she gave us our own unique style. So for me, I was kind of like the darker one out of my siblings. So she kind of put me in like lighter colors to balance out my complexion. And it kind of stuck with me. So it's like, if I walk into a store, as soon as I see something red or orange or pink, yellow, I'll just go and grab it. It's just psychological. It's something my mom did. But style is very, very important to me. It's just something, I take to my heart, of being able to look presentable. My famous and favorite quote of all time is Tom Ford, dressing well is a form of good manners. And if you dress well, it precedes you, it goes before you. People will look at you and not notice you, or it's not to be flashy, but people would look at you and respect you when they see you, because you are presenting yourself in a respectable way. So it demands respect. And that's just what you see me highlighting, and with my pictures and everything like that. So it's just fun. I'm just having fun, You know what I'm saying? Just having fun. A lot of people, I'm sure they're on here, they were like, oh, Governor, you have that signature pose, to look away. Hey, everybody got that something, you know what I'm saying? So hey, but it's all in fun. It's all in fun, you know what I'm saying?
And I like those pickup posts.
So many people have inboxed me, people from across the country. I don't even know, but they'll say, I so admire your style. Black men that you will say, you know what? I'm a heavier guy just like you, and I would be scared to wear this color, but because I saw you wear it, it made me comfortable to buy a sweater in pink or buy something in yellow, wear a yellow tie, or you know what I'm saying, or wear yellow or orange shoe or something like that. You made me comfortable and know that I can do it. And sometimes that's just the mission, you know, to make people comfortable and to step out of their comfort zone.
Have you ever thought of, of starting your own line?
Nah, not fashion. I am a big niche scent connoisseur.
Okay.
So I love niche scents. So when I'm traveling and when I'm on vacation, that's my thing, to go around wherever I go, especially in Europe, to find like niche scent boutiques and buy colognes from across Europe. And you know, and so I will always, that's my other life, my alternative life. I want to be, is it a perfumier or something like that? Or so I want to be a person that, you know, create, you know, niche scent. And I'm looking at that. I'm exploring, you know, what it is to create scents and to create, you know, nice, especially masculine men scents.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Go ahead, Sherwin.
No, I don't mean, I think that would be dope. That falls right in line, because I mean, you know, his posts, and I've inboxed him many times too, because like his post. So the governor's
Wait a minute, one of my brothers from Baltimore says governor is so fleshy.
You know,
Randy,
he's in his flesh.
I love you, Randy. That's my brother. Like, we've been brothers for like 25 years.
I was gonna say, I like his posts when you're walking through like these high-end stores, but you're sharing these little pickups. Like, you would be like, oh, this was, $500, and I got it for $40, and I got this and I got that. So I used to love those when you used to do that a lot.
I believe in, design on a dime. You know what I'm saying? That, people see what I wear and they're like, oh my God, you know what I'm saying? You're so, and I'm like, I learned this lesson from Puffy. He's told us, don't ever pay full price for nothing. So he would send us to like Gucci and we would have to get a discount. And I'm like, we like standing and I'm like, why am I like waiting for a discount for this man that's got millions of dollars? But then I learned that's why he has millions of dollars. Because he, it was, the high-end stores wanted him to wear his stuff. Well, you want me to wear your stuff, you're going to give me a discount. So I had to learn to, you buy everything you buy, I buy it on discount. I'm like, hey, that's my secret. Oh, discount. You rock it. It's still the same price.
and it's still the same look.
And still the same look. If it's Louboutin, it's still Louboutin. You got on a discounted price.
That's it for me.
Shawn, what is your a little trivia here? What is the most favorite spot you've traveled in the world?
I would have to say Barcelona, Spain. I love Barcelona, Spain, and Paris. That year I went on vacation. I was in, I think, 2017. Vacation. I went to Barcelona, went to Spain, and so Barcelona, and then me and my family, we flew over to Paris for I think like a day or two. So, and that was the best experience in the world. Barcelona was just so rich in culture and food and style, and it was a beautiful experience. So I would love to go back there. I want to go back there very, very soon. So
okay. And your favorite T-shirt your favorite T-shirt?
I don't know if she's on here. My best friend Raquel, she called me recently. She said, "What is your obsession with graphic T-shirts? Like, really? Like, you're 50." I was like, I love graphic T-shirts. So I found a vintage graphic T-shirt, vintage David Bowie and Blondie T-shirt in the East Village in this boutique, like this little graphic T-shirt boutique. And I saw it in the window and I rushed inside, and I was just happening to be walking around the city. And I asked her, I said, "Do you have my size?" And she looked, she said, "Yeah. And she, "Yeah, I have your size." And I was like, oh my God, I've been wanting and been on the hunt down for a David Bowie, a vintage David Bowie graphic T-shirt and a vintage Blondie graphic T-shirt. I've seen some reproductions ones, but they didn't really have that it factor. But when I saw that, it was worth it. They were like maybe like $40, $50, but it was like, I'm buying it. So yeah, so I think if you look on my Instagram, you may see a picture of the one with David Bowie and the one with Blondie. So I wore them a few times this past summer.
Awesome. Go ahead, Shawn.
No, I mean that's it. I know we were already at the top of the hour. I mean, I can sit
It
here
went by
and
already.
chop it up.
Oh, for real?
I can sit
Wow.
here and chop it up all day. You know, the governor got gems on just about every topic to drop. But no, I appreciate you coming on and just sharing your story with us, man. For sure, definitely.
Absolutely. So, Governor, how can people find you on social media?
On social media, on Instagram, I'm Governor Gibbs. On Facebook, I'm Shawn Governor Gibbs. So Facebook, Shawn Governor Gibbs. Instagram, Governor Gibbs. Please connect with me, DM me, email me, show some love. I'll show love back. I'm just happy to be a vessel. You know what I'm saying? I'm like learning how to in this next chapter of my life. I'm learning how to again lead with love and lead with grace. Because it's essential. So much, turmoil in this world. There's so much. I think this pandemic made people just hypersensitive, hyper irrational, just hyper everything. And someone needs to still hold on to those sanctities and those foundational virtues and foundation things that we grew up with.
Yeah.
And a lot of that is love and grace and mercy, and just extend that to people. People just need that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. And once again, our sincere condolences on the loss of your mom, because we knew how much she meant to you, and and that has a way of shifting your priorities.
Yeah.
And,
yeah, it has, but it gave me a deeper love. You know what I'm saying? Gave me a deeper love for my father. You know what I'm saying? Because I had to learn that beside the pain that I was feeling, that was his wife for 55 years. Yeah. So I had to make sure that he was comforted and loved and felt secured, you know what I'm saying, after losing his wife. So, it's about sacrificing, it's about sacrificing. But when you sacrifice, God does, like I said earlier, God does sustain you, and he put people in your life to help sustain you. And I've had that in that. I've had that, Sharon he's always texting me like, bro, I'm just on you just to make sure you're okay. I love you. And you don't know how much that means to me. Same thing with you, Patrice. You've always texted me, and, hey, I'm just checking on you. I'm praying for you. And in those moments, you could be just feeling this low. And when those texts come in from you guys at spontaneous times and spontaneous moments, it really uplifts me, and it really lets me know that I'm loved, and that I'm not forgotten. Yeah. And that, that there are people that's in your corner that's just, rooting for you and just and showing you love and leading with love. So I appreciate you too for being that in my life.
Well, it is an honor, and thank you so much for opening your heart and allowing us to be a part of your life. We really do. We really appreciate it. So before we go tonight, we want to remind you that the 28th, this coming Thursday in Philadelphia, the launch for Indigo Inspire is happening here, and we are having a feature artist is Anthony Brown and Group Therapy.
Wow, that's
here, as well as Hamilton Harden and Tim Wortham Jr. is going to be opening, and this concert is going to be absolutely bananas. And we're having this concert in celebration and also as a fundraiser for our outreach initiatives for teen outreach, as well as our well drilling projects globally. So please support it. It is a flat fee as far as the tickets concerned. We're not going to do more at the door. It is indigoinspire.ticketlossity.com, indigoinspire.ticketlossity.com. The concert starts at 8 p.m. There's VIP meet and greet with Anthony Brown Group Therapy, and they're going to kill this concert on this coming Thursday. So everyone, please share, support, and Sharon, anything you want to say before we sign off?
No, again, thanks everyone for for joining in. Gov, appreciate you, man. Love you, brother. Always a pleasure talking to you, man.
Thank you, guys. I love you guys. I love you, love you, love you, love you, love you. Y'all fam for life. That's my hashtag, always fam for life. You guys are my fam for life, and I'm loyal to both of you at any given time. So I love you guys. Thank you for giving me a platform just to show who I am and to share my heart. And I love you.
There it is.
Okay, you have been here with the Mr. Influencer himself, Shawn Governor Gibbs. So everyone, thank you so much for being a part of the show tonight here on Movers and Shakers. And we will not have the collab this coming Thursday because, we're going to be in Philly at the Hilton Ballroom doing the thing with Anthony Brown and Group Therapy. And it's hosted by Desi and Hassan James from Root Magazine will also be hosting the event. So you definitely have got to be in the building. Once again, the tickets, go to indigoinspired.ticketlossity.com to get your tickets. And we look forward to seeing you there. So as always, hey, it's not just a vibe here, baby. It's a whole mood. Have a great night.
There you
Love
go.
you guys.
All right. Take it easy. All right. Peace.